Story 1. I drink a lot in the morning, and I stop drinking roughly 3 hours before I go to sleep. Story 2. The required amount of water is minimal. The recommended amount is highly debated and further complicated by the water content of food. Story 3. I go to the bathroom right before I sleep and right when I wake up. If I'm sick and dehydrated and chug water in the middle of the night, I'm usually waddling across the hall in my boxers at 3 a.m. Story 4. I hear you are supposed to stop drinking a few hours before bed, but I will never be able to do that, even though it apparently works. Story 5. It's simple. Get used to waking up, go to the bathroom, and then go directly back to sleep. Story 6. You might be drinking too much at once or too close to bedtime. Your body can only take so much in a day. It is also important to note that hydration estimates include water you get from food and other beverages. Actual water needs vary from person to person. I do not wake up at night to urinate, and I drink a lot of water. I do not know what to tell you. Story 7. Just sleep. No one drinks 2 liters of water right before bed. Maybe a cup or 2. Story 8. Not everyone requires that amount of water, and that is okay. Your body usually adjusts over time, and you will not have to make as frequent trips. Story 9. Public service announcement. The recommended amount of water does not mean you have to drink 2 liters in addition to the water you get from food and other beverages. It is probably too much anyway. Story 10. By drinking it throughout the day instead of an hour before I go to bed. Story 11. Empty your bladder before bed, even if you do not think you need to. If you have frequent urination, consult a doctor, as it could be a bladder or kidney issue. Story 12. When my head hits the pillow, I fall asleep immediately. When I wake up, I need to urinate urgently, laughing out loud. Story 13. Oof, I want to know how, because my God, that pain of having to urinate so badly while absolutely refusing to get up is intense. Fighting those demons, boy. Story 14. The idea that you must drink a specific amount of water regardless of your circumstances is a myth. You do not need to force yourself to drink more water just to hit a number. If you wake up every night to urinate, you may have age-related changes, be drinking too much water, or be developing a medical condition that you should discuss with your doctor. Story 15. I drink most of my water at midday but try to spread my intake evenly throughout the day. I stop drinking water at 9 p.m. I empty my bladder before lying down and usually have no problems. In the morning, the need to urinate wakes me between 7:30 and 8 a.m. Story 16. We don't drink water in Europe, as every American carrying a flask knows. The whole of Europe is fatally dehydrated. Story 17. How much is required? People have different sized bladders, and it is normal to urinate once or twice during the night. If you need to urinate many times in one night, it could be a sign of a medical issue. Story 18. I drink about a gallon of water a day. I usually go to the bathroom before bed. After a random drug test at work, I was told to drink less water next time. I simply enjoy drinking water. Story 19. See a doctor. Failure to concentrate urine overnight can indicate a renal or cardiovascular condition. Could also be due to brain injury, but that is less likely. Story 20. I keep waking up to pee and sometimes I cannot go back to sleep, so I push through the next day. I am not even doing the full 2 liters. I only drink 500 milliliters as a start. Water is supposed to make me less tired, but I am more tired than ever. Story 21. The required amount of water is absurdly high. Most people do not need to drink that much. Your urine should be a very pale yellow. If it looks like water most of the time, you are drinking too much. If it is quite yellow, you need to drink more. Story 22. I drink about 2.8 liters, mostly after work. There is an initial bathroom break about an hour after bedtime, then another every 2 or 3 hours. It is very easy for me to fall back asleep, so the night is still very restful despite the interruptions. The last time I had more than 5 hours uninterrupted was when I was sick. Story 23. I have to go frequently during the day and again right before bed. Story 24. Do not chug water. Sip it. Chugging water causes much of it to pass through your system without being absorbed. Sipping gives your body time to absorb and use the water. Story 25. Do not drink a lot of fluids before bed. If you do drink fluids late, urinate what you can, then urinate the rest when you wake up. Story 26. My bladder is essentially the only fully functioning organ I have retained after 42 years and a twin pregnancy. I can hold urine for 12 or more hours. I am a nurse practitioner, and I blame my profession. This is not a brag. Holding urine that long is poor urinary health practice, but some days it is necessary. Story 27. Try a lower salt diet. Anything that makes your kidneys work harder will cause increased urination to flush it from your body. Story 28. If you drink throughout the day as opposed to drinking all or most of it at once, and you consistently consume enough fluids each day, you will not need to urinate frequently at night. Drink plain water rather than flavored water, tea, or other beverages, as those may increase urination. Think of your body like very dry soil when you are dehydrated. If you pour a large amount of water on dry soil at once, it will not absorb the water and the water will run off. If the soil is watered regularly, however, it will absorb water quickly. Story 29. I drink half a glass with my vitamins before bed, and that stops me from getting up to urinate during the night. Story 30. Your body adapts after a while. Also, avoiding drinking too close to bedtime helps. Story 31. If you do this consistently for at least a month, your body becomes accustomed to the amount of water and begins using most or all of it. As a result, you do not need to urinate as often. I urinate less than I did before I started drinking enough water. Story 32. My cats wake me up anyway, so I just pee when that happens. It's a routine now, but I still get my sleep in. Story 33. I drink about a gallon of water per day. Once your body gets used to it, it is not that bad. I usually get up once during the night, but it does not seem to affect my sleep quality. There is an adaptation period when your body is very upset with you. Story 34. I don't. I have mastered the ability to pee like a zombie, so I crawl back into bed afterward and continue to sleep. Story 35. I drink the required amount and take pills right before bed. I usually wake once during the night but go right back to sleep, and sometimes I sleep through the night. Story 36. Are you drinking anything besides water or eating many high water content foods, such as soup? 500 milliliters is not a lot of water. If this is accurate, you should see a doctor. Story 37. I sleep like a baby. I wake up crying because I wet myself. Story 38. I drink water when I am thirsty. In the winter, I might not drink any water during the day. I get my hydration from a couple of cups of water. I have always been like that and have no health problems. Story 39. Drink 2 liters. Your body will adjust, so drink most in the morning and then sip small amounts over a few hours in the evening. Story 40. The restriction is not severe, but it likely means you are mildly dehydrated. You can drink plenty of fluids, but avoid consuming more than 8 ounces of water or similar within a couple of hours of going to bed. You should be able to sleep through the night, even if earlier you drank 1 or 2 gallons of water during the day. Story 41. I wake up during the night to urinate and then return to sleep. Story 42. I need at least 5 to 6 liters a day or I get a headache. As some of you pointed out, not drinking for 2 hours before bed works for most people. My bladder is used to holding a lot of urine, so urination in the morning takes some time. Story 43. I use a continuous positive airway pressure machine, so most nights the machine dries my mouth. I get up to urinate and drink water to relieve the dryness, then go back to sleep. Story 44. I get up to urinate 4 to 5 times a night, even if I do not drink 3 to 4 hours before I go to bed. During the day, when I am drinking water, I may urinate only twice. Story 45. I drink a few gallons of water a day, and I am constantly urinating. If I do not stay well hydrated, I feel sick. Story 46. I drink more than 3 liters most days. I usually urinate twice before going to sleep, so it is rarely a problem. Story 47. I do not drink anything during the last 4 hours of my day. My bladder is completely empty at bedtime. I sit until every last drop is out. I sleep through the night. I only drink about 3 liters of water every day. Story 48. I try not to drink anything an hour before bedtime, but I am always the thirstiest in the evenings. Story 49. I'm done drinking water around 5 or 6 p.m. for the most part. I tinkle before bed. Story 50. I drink about 3 liters per day and have never had an issue. I go to the toilet before bed. Story 51. I go to the toilet 3 or 4 times a night. Eventually, you just get used to it. Story 52. Not sure where I learned this, but it is what I used as a kid to wake me up. For some reason, I remember it being called a Native American method, which I have no source for. The idea is to drink a lot of water before bed, so you will naturally wake up needing to urinate. The tricky part is drinking the right amount. I found 2 glasses usually worked well, though it was often unreliable and my mother would just wake me up. I did this because I sleep through alarms. Now I have a Fitbit that vibrates to wake me up. Story 53. Back when I was in college, almost everyone had a hydro flask and people would take sips throughout class, at the gym, and while studying in the library. That environment made me drink water much more frequently, and I lost weight as a result. After I graduated, the habit stopped until I moved to Nevada, when I had my hydro flask glued to my hand again. Unfortunately, I moved again and now I often end up dehydrated, especially because I take Benadryl or hydroxyzine to help me sleep. I have to stop drinking around 6 p.m., and I usually do not fall asleep until about 4 a.m. Story 54. I drink 1 liter within half an hour of waking, not all at once. Then I drink 2 more liters throughout the day. 700 milliliters of that has electrolytes added. I also have a black coffee and a cup of green tea. I don't eat much, so I keep up my fluids. I stopped drinking several hours before bed and haven't needed to get up during the night for about 6 months. Story 55. I do not. I wake up, go to the bathroom, return to bed, and fall asleep in about 5 seconds. Story 56. I urinate right before I sleep. Sometimes I wake during the wee hours of the morning, use minimal lighting to urinate, and then go back to sleep. Story 57. I usually spread my water intake throughout the morning and the school day. From 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. I drink most of the water I need, and I finish the rest at home. If I am not fully satisfied, I urinate before I sleep, usually between 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. Story 58. You can drink the right amount of water and avoid drinking right before you go to bed. It is really not that difficult. Story 59. I drink at least 3.8 liters of water a day. That is the size of my bottle, and I often drink from other cups throughout the day. I stop drinking around 7 p.m. I usually only have to pee once or twice after that. Then I can sleep through the night. If I get thirsty after 7 p.m., I drink only a little, maybe a cup or less. Story 60. I am a very heavy sleeper, so it does not wake me. I have to go as soon as I wake up, though. Story 61. Antidiuretic hormone is typically developed by the time people are 8 years old and is produced by the body during sleep. Story 62. I get up and use the bathroom sometimes. Then I usually grab a glass of water to place on my nightstand because I am already awake. I am not saying I will drink it, but I like the option. Story 63. I do not drink anything for 2 hours before bed. I do wake up once to urinate, though. Story 64. Check your blood sugar. Excessive nighttime trips to the bathroom to urinate can be a warning sign of type 2 diabetes. Story 65. If you do it late enough, it won't be too cold when you wake up. Story 66. Do you have anxiety or stress? High cortisol can cause panic, waking around 2 to 3 a.m., the need to urinate, and restlessness. Magnesium glycinate has helped me sleep for longer stretches without needing to urinate. Story 67. You make sure to do the final pee before sleep and you are good. Story 68. Stop drinking an hour or 2 before bed. I go to the restroom right before I fall asleep. Story 69. I sleep soundly. I just realized I rarely wake up to urinate during the night. Story 70. Air, reach, steep, terrific, start, punch, spotted, aback, ancient, squeeze. Story 71. I have been waking up 4 hours after going to bed for some time now. Usually I take care of things then. Story 72. I have never had trouble sleeping, but I wake up in the morning needing to urinate a lot. Story 73. I don't have trouble falling back asleep. Don't drink within a few hours before bed. It helps. Urinate before sleeping. You may feel like you need to urinate less as you drink more. Chronically dehydrated people may urinate frequently because their kidneys are stressed by low fluid levels. Drinking more water reasonably will reduce the issue over time, not make it worse. Story 74. Needing to urinate frequently at night while sleeping can be a symptom of sleep apnea. Story 75. I drink all my water before 6 in the evening. After that, I don't drink anything else and have no problems sleeping through the night. Story 76. I am older and get gout pretty badly if I eat too much beef or other rich foods. I have found that if I drink a pitcher of water every night, I do not get gout anymore and can, within reason, eat what I want. Here is what I do. Just before bed I drink about 12 ounces of water. I wake up at some point and have to urinate, so I do, then immediately drink another 12 ounces and return to bed. This continues throughout the night, 4 to 6 cycles per night. I no longer get gout. I eat what I want and salt my food as I like. I take a multivitamin every day because I am flushing a lot of minerals from my body. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, and zinc are important. I also try to include vegetables and fruit in my daily diet. Bananas and oranges are favorites. Story 77. I don't. That being said, I have a bladder condition. Laughing out loud. Story 78. My pelvic floor is damaged from having children. I wake 1 or 2 times at night to urinate, regardless of how much water I've had. Story 79. I am 46 years old and do not have the bladder I had when I was younger. For the past 2 years, I sometimes wake up to urinate at night. I do not mind, because once I am back in bed, I fall asleep within seconds. Story 80. If you were to drink double the recommended amount, I imagine that for the first few days you would urinate nonstop. Would your body eventually adapt and reduce urine output? Story 81. The correct amount of water is what keeps you hydrated. That is, when your urine is the right color. The recommendation to drink a specific amount of water each day was based on a study of 3 people and is not scientifically proven. You urinate to remove excess fluid. Story 82. I drink most of my daily water before noon, so I sleep 8 hours and usually do not get up at all. Story 83. My wife is impressed by my 2-minute morning urination sessions. Story 84. Unless you are drinking a lot right before you go to sleep, it will not wake you up to urinate. Caffeine causes that. I drink coffee in the morning and that is it. Story 85. I don't. Laughing out loud. I always have to get up in the middle of the night to pee, and I drink some more water before getting back into bed. I am a thirsty bitch. Story 86. I do not drink water for at least an hour before I go to bed. Story 87. I am a very deep sleeper, so I do not notice that I need to urinate during the night. I need to go first thing in the morning. Story 88. That is the fun part. You do not. I always urinate before bed. At night and in the morning, I am absolutely bursting to go. I hate it. Story 89. I sleep until 5 a.m. and then fight the urge to use the bathroom until my alarm rings at 7:30 a.m. Story 90. It takes only 2 minutes to go to the bathroom and back to bed. Is this really an issue for people? Story 91. I do not anymore. I used to stop drinking a few hours before bed and be fine, but I am pregnant with an insatiable thirst, so urinating once or twice in the middle of the night is routine. Story 92. The required amount of water is a glass consumed just before you start feeling thirsty. Story 93. I do not have any issues with this and do not take any specific measures to prevent it, except going to the bathroom before going to bed. If you do experience this, it could be a symptom of another condition, especially if it occurs more than once. This is called nocturia. Consult your doctor, because it clearly disrupts your sleep and can lead to more serious health problems over time. Story 94. I drink a glass of water every 2 hours from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. It makes me have to go to the bathroom more often, But I drink it anyway because my medications make me constipated if I do not drink enough. I do not drink water an hour before bed. Story 95. I urinate throughout the day instead of saving it up for nighttime. Story 96. The often wrongly quoted recommendation to drink 8 glasses of water a day overlooks the next line of that opinion. Most of the fluid comes from the food we eat. Story 97. I sip from a 1-liter bottle throughout the morning and afternoon and refill it as needed. Story 98. You do not actually need that much water. For the vast majority of people, it is enough to drink when you are thirsty. That should be your baseline unless a doctor tells you differently. Story 99. The required amount is a myth. Drink when you are thirsty. Eat when you are hungry. Stop forcing down water and food because of recommendations. It does not help detoxification or change your metabolism. Story 100. They must have bladders made of titanium or sleep so deeply they have unlocked a glitch in the human system. Story 101. I stop drinking about 2 hours before bed. I use the restroom about 30 minutes before I plan to fall asleep, and once more just before I go to bed. Story 102. You should stop chugging water a few hours before bed. No one ever said your consumption needed to be evenly distributed across the waking hours. Story 103. I guess I need it because I usually only get up once a night. Story 104. I go to the bathroom right before I go to sleep and again first thing in the morning. Story 105. Very easily unless it is cold. The only times I have had toilet-related issues due to water intake were when I was camping and it got unexpectedly very cold at night. Story 106. People who drink the required amount of water. How the hell do you sleep through the night? I don't. The idea that you must sleep in an uninterrupted span through the night for sleep to be restful is nonsensical. On average, I get up once during the night to urinate. I do not turn on the lights and I return to bed immediately. I'm usually back to sleep within minutes. This happens every night and it works out beautifully. Story 107. Limit fluid intake 1 hour before bed and use the restroom immediately before bed. If you do not make it, go back to sleep. Story 108. Drink when you are thirsty. I am not thirsty between dinner and going to bed. Story 109. There is no single required amount of water. If you drink some water and need to urinate within 20 to 30 minutes, you are well hydrated. Story 110. It just works. I never have a sense of thirst or hunger. I drink and eat according to my plan every day. Story 111. I go to sleep. At night, when I need to urinate, I get up, use the bathroom, and go back to bed. I have small night lights everywhere, so I do not need to turn on any lights to find the bathroom. Story 112. I drink a lot of water before I go to bed. I go to the bathroom beforehand. I usually drink about 300 milliliters before bedtime, but sometimes I drink more, so I wake up in the middle of the night or the next morning with a full bladder and sometimes feel pain. Story 113. I urinate before I go to sleep, and when I wake up I urinate again. It is the circle of life. Story 114. Try not to drink for a few hours before bed. Otherwise, I am definitely going to have a midnight leak. Story 115. This is not a recommended method, but I have a urostomy and use a 2-liter night bag during the night. No matter how much I drink in the evening, I sleep like a baby. Story 116. I go to the bathroom before sleeping, but I am also a light sleeper, so I will wake up if I need to go in the middle of the night. Story 117. I am starting to believe I skipped some sort of life tutorial. I drink 3 glasses of water before bed and 2 more after I wake up and get ready for the day. I have tried going to bed without drinking water, but I do not feel right. I always end up getting out of bed to drink that good old water. Story 118. I am more careful about how much water I drink right before bed. If I am not, I will wake in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, so I keep a thermos by my bed because I often wake up thirsty. Story 119. I remember learning from Huberman that the speed of drinking water at night affects the urge to urinate. Slowly sipping water over an hour before bed reduces the likelihood of needing to urinate, whereas chugging a glass immediately before bed increases that urge. Story 120. I stop drinking anything at least 2 hours before bedtime and urinate immediately before getting into bed. I still sometimes wake in the middle of the night to go, but I am prone to waking anyway, so it is not a big deal. Story 121. Sometimes I have trouble falling asleep, but when I do, I sleep like a rock. I never wake up in the middle of the night, although I will wake up if you simply whisper my name. Kind of weird, I guess. Story 122. You should stop drinking anything a few hours before bed. The older you get, the more important this becomes. Story 123. I never feel thirsty and hardly ever drink water. Even when I lived in the Middle East, a couple of cups of tea and a coffee are all I drink. Mind you, I do not sweat much either. Story 124. Expect to wake and then return to sleep sometimes. To make it easier, avoid turning on lights, keep your eyes mostly closed, and use a noise machine in the bedroom to help you fall back asleep. Whether you are hydrated or not, this may be something you need to accept as you get older. It does not happen every night, but it happens often enough that learning to manage it is useful. Story 125. You do not. You get up and urinate. Believe me, when you get older you will be doing that anyway, whether you drink a lot of water or not. Story 126. My rule is no more than 3 swallows unless I am very thirsty. The human body is poor at storing water. The more you spread fluid intake over time, the better you can stay hydrated without needing to urinate. Story 127. I go to the bathroom immediately before bed and try not to drink any fluids after 10 o'clock in the evening. Story 128. I am 59. It does not matter. When you are my age, you get up 1 or 2 times a night anyway. Also, being hydrated slows your heart rate and lets you sleep more deeply. Story 129. Wait until you reach your 40s. You do not even need to drink much water to wake up twice a night to urinate. Story 130. I wake up once every night to use the bathroom. I keep the lights off, and I am always able to fall back asleep quickly afterward. Story 131. 2 liters of water include tea, coffee, and the fluids in the food you eat. Story 132. Your body gets used to the water. I have been drinking 100 ounces a day for 2 months. I did not drink yesterday because I was going on a road trip and driving 300 miles. Today I am exhausted. I feel hungover even though I did not have any alcohol. Story 133. I probably drink twice the recommended amount, especially in summer, but I don't really have this issue. Just make sure you go to the bathroom a few times in the hours before bed and drink only small amounts of water during that time. I sometimes wake up, but after going to the bathroom, I can fall asleep immediately if I don't turn on any lights. Story 134. Easily? Tell your bladder to get better, I guess. Said in jest. I don't know how to help. Story 135. Do people actually sleep through the night? I usually wake up 2 or 3 times to use the restroom. Story 136. I wake up to pee, then go back to bed like everyone else. Story 137. Normally I get up and use the toilet once during the night. I find this is better for me than sleeping the entire night through because I am less likely to wake up with a headache afterward. I still do not get as much sleep as I should, though. Story 138. Going to the bathroom in the morning is like the evacuation scene in Austin Powers. Story 139. I urinate before bed, and any urine my body stores overnight remains until morning. My body does not signal the need to urinate while it is being held, and I would have to push to start urinating, so it is easier for me to sleep through the night and urinate in the morning. Story 140. I do not. My medications make me extra thirsty, so I am up 2 to 3 times per night. Story 141. I pondered this existential dilemma during countless late-night bathroom trips. It is all about strategic hydration. If you unleash a tidal wave hourly to combat thirst, you are destined for a restless night. Instead, I drank water as if preparing for an Olympic swimming event right before bed. Who needs sleep when you can test your own endurance? Story 142. There is no required amount of water. The idea of 8 glasses of water a day is just a number a doctor pulled out of thin air during a press conference. Story 143. I get up a few times, but fortunately I go right back to sleep. Story 144. I have been lucky enough to sleep in a comfortable bed most nights. Story 145. I had a problem wetting the bed until I was 13 years old. I am 16 now. I just stopped, and I am not sure why. I now urinate only once or twice a day. Story 146. What is the problem with waking up? I wake up and use the bathroom almost every night. I go back to sleep, comfortable knowing I have 4 more hours. I usually drink water again, but that might be because I can fall asleep easily. Story 147. Eu geralmente bebo mais à noite, cerca de 1 ou 2 horas antes de ir dormir. Vou ao banheiro antes de deitar. Story 148. The commonly cited required amount of water, 8 glasses per day, is incorrect. The current study indicates that one size does not fit all for drinking water guidelines. Researchers say in a study published in the journal Science, the common suggestion that we should drink 8 8-ounce glasses of water per day, about 2 liters, is not backed up by objective evidence. Australia's water intake guidelines state there is no single rule that applies to everyone. It depends on the person, the climate, whether you are indoors or outdoors, whether you are active or sedentary, and any health issues. I have chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia and drink water about once an hour when awake, approximately 200 milliliters per drink. I am not able to stop drinking at night because I get thirsty. I used to wake up and urinate once a night, but since I started a low-carbohydrate diet and lost 12 kilograms, I no longer get up. Story 149. I just go back to sleep when I get into bed. I do not fully wake up, and I know the way to the bathroom, so I do not use a light. Story 150. I get up every night at exactly 3 in the morning to go to the washroom, then go right back to sleep. It is a routine at this point, and even when I do not drink a lot of water, I still wake up at 3 in the morning. Story 151. The whole advice to drink a specific amount of water per day is usually gym culture nonsense and never takes into account that most food you eat contains a large amount of water. I have seen people who drink protein shakes or meal replacement powders told that they need to drink 2 liters of water in addition to the liquid in their shake because the powder absorbs the water. Story 152. Big bladder, I guess. I don't know. The real trick is to time it so you have to urinate when you wake up. That prompts you to actually get out of bed instead of messing around on your phone. Story 153. Outside the gym, I rarely drink water. When I am working out, water is great, but at home, sitting at my computer, drinking water does not feel refreshing. Story 154. I constantly get up to pee. It's horrible. I have a small bladder, which makes it worse. Story 155. This is something you just get used to after you start doing it. You eventually adapt, and your body does not need to urinate every hour. As someone who drinks about a gallon of water a day, on top of whatever else I drink, I am laughing out loud. Story 156. Drink most of your fluids earlier in the day so you are not up all night urinating. Story 157. Maybe they just train their kidneys like Olympic athletes. Story 158. I drink about 500 milliliters over a short period. I then stop drinking 4 hours before bedtime so I can empty my bladder. Story 159. There is no required amount. Just drink until you're not thirsty. The whole a billion quarts a day thing is pseudoscience. Story 160. It is 3:40 in the morning here. I am awake because I really need to urinate, but it is too cold to get out from under my blanket. After I finally get up and go to the bathroom, I will drink 1 more big glass of water, which will make me need to go again around 8 in the morning. Story 161. This is the $64,000 question for me. I have a history of kidney stones, so my doctor has told me never to allow my urine to become yellow, which means I must drink a lot of water. However, I am in my mid-60s and have prostate issues. If I follow my urologist's advice, I would never get any decent sleep and would be a nervous wreck. What should I do when the advice for 2 medical conditions conflicts? Story 162. Do not eat as much salt, and your body will not hold on to as much water. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.